You're watching Slingshot The Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power. Today's episode is called WTF Are They Doing? What are they doing? So we have a very impactful episode for you.
It's good.
And I'm happy to be joined by Charles Gregory.
That's right. He in the building.
Co-host for today.
That's right. You want to have some fun?
We're going to have some fun.
Mm-hmm.
And what's more fun than the title of today's episode?
Yeah.
WTF
Say it right.
Are they doing?
WTF.
WTF. What the are they doing?
That's right.
Right.
That's right.
There's a concerted effort in this moment to distract us.
Yeah.
Right? And to throw all kinds of shiny things in front of us. And all these things that say every day that we wake up and we turn on the news or we look at our Facebook timeline or we're looking at, X or whatever you're watching. And you look at what happened while we were sleeping.
Yeah, right. Hold on. Do people still use X? Do you still use?
I don't. I mean, I still have a page. I haven't, it's still there. Yeah, I'm only there so I don't get fined.
No, right.
I'm only there so I don't get fined.
Yeah.
But there's a lot that's distracting us in the moment.
Right,
and that is on purpose.
Absolutely.
They are purposefully trying to distract us by saying the C word, the craziest things.
Yeah. Crazy. They do that on purpose too.
Oh yeah.
They do that on purpose.
Oh, yeah.
I think that we need to do better with understanding what they're doing. Right. And then just being engaging and don't fall for the okie doke, as they say. Yeah.
That's right. If it's the current Trump regime saying that they're going to end birthright citizenship, or if they're saying they're going to restrict our access to the ballot and put more barriers in front of us to get registered to vote or actually cast a ballot, or if they're talking about deporting citizens that they feel like should be deported for whatever reason. I mean, these are the things that they're trying to distract us with so they can do the really terrible things as well, or the other terrible things.
Yeah. They've been strategizing this for a long time, though, and I think that we have to know what has been going on. All right, so we think of, and I'll just bring this up real quick, Project 2025, right? That has already been, they've been talking about this. Literally, this is something that we have known for a long time, right? They have written this, and from my understanding, this has been in the works for years already, right? They play a long game. They're playing chess, not checkers, right? We have to be cognizant of that's what's actually happening so we can prepare for it, right? One is a fool to what they don't know. We know what's going on, so why don't we prepare for it? Absolutely.
Well, someone tried to tell us in 2024, but we didn't listen to her all that much. Not the 92%. The 92% listened.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
One of those things, man.
Well, there's other things they've been trying to distract us with, right? If it was removing Jackie Robinson and his honors, if it was, all these different attempts that are put out there to distract us from what's really happening.
Yeah. I heard they're doing. They're trying to. What's that? The African American Museum in D.C.
Oh, yeah.
Right. And just the whole DEI, just labeling everything DEI so they can say, we want to take this out. That's a problem, right? But we know what's actually going on, right? And so to have a discussion or to act as if, oh my God, what happened? We already know what's going on. So we need to, again, and you'll probably hear me saying this a lot, is strategize. We need to know, okay, they're playing chess, not checkers. So pick up your king. Pick up your queen. You already know the queens. You mentioned the numbers. 90, 92% or something like that. You mentioned the numbers, right? So if we know this, kings and queens, let's get together. Let's really play this game. Let's play this game.
Right. Well, so I'm gonna do a quote because I want to get it right.
There you go.
Right. So there's been this notion floating around from the Trump regime that they're interested in incarcerating U.S. citizens into foreign prisons. Those that commit violent crimes, putting them into foreign prisons such as El Salvador. And so this is what Trump said. He said, the homegrowns are next. The homegrowns. You got to build about 5 more places.
What?
So number one, this is obviously illegal. It's also unconstitutional. I think someone should read the Constitution. The 8th Amendment ensures that that is something that could not happen to United States citizens, to be forced to go to a foreign land to be incarcerated. It is unconstitutional to deport and certainly to imprison United States citizens in a foreign country. What the?
WTF, man, yeah. Wow. That's a wow moment to actually say, we're just going to get rid of y'all. Get rid of y'all. Take it. What the other country, they're probably like, yo, don't send them over here.
Right?
Yeah.
But, if there's prisons for profit, there's someone who's going to want to be invested in that.
Absolutely. Yeah.
For-profit prisons shouldn't be a thing. So there's folks that have gone on record to say that they agree with this notion.
They went on record.
And so U.S. Representative Tim Burchett out of Tennessee, he's defending Donald Trump and his suggestion that United States citizens should be who are convicted of violent crimes. And who determines that? Like, who decides what's violent and what's not, right? Are sent to Salvadoran prisons. And so this is what Representative Burchett said. Look, I don't want Donald Trump teaching my daughter's Sunday school class, but doggone, I like him in the White House because he understands the rule of law, I feel like.
What?
So, I mean, he got one thing right here. He doesn't want Donald Trump teaching his daughter in Sunday school, right? You don't want a convicted felon to probably do that, facing multiple charges. Or actually convicted of multiple charges. That's not something you really want. But he believes still that Donald Trump understands the rule of law. So I don't know how that's a thing when everything that's been happening in this moment has been against law and order. So let's talk about it. Over-incarceration is a thing.
Yes.
In Pennsylvania and across the country.
Warehousing.
In America.
That's right.
And, a lot of people don't know this statistic, but Pennsylvania incarcerates more people than many countries in combined, right? The over-incarceration rates in Pennsylvania is an issue. We lock up a lot of people.
Yes, we do.
For a lot of things that are not going to be solved by incarcerating somebody.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
So, and this disproportionately is Black and brown folks being locked up in the Commonwealth. So we're going to have to, deal with this. This is a what the moment,
Yeah. Unbelievable. I want to read this stat. So I'm on Perplexity, ladies and gentlemen. Yeah. So it says, so President Trump argued that, so we're talking about the idea of sending criminals to quote unquote other countries. President Trump has publicly discussed sending U.S. citizens convicted of violent crimes to serve their sentences in foreign prisons, specifically mentioning El Salvador. He argued this would be less expensive than housing them in the U.S. prisons and claimed some countries are even open to it. I think this is absolutely nuts, right? And so he goes on to say, or it says the legal constitutional issues, legal experts overwhelmingly agree that sending American citizens to serve prison sentences abroad would be unconstitutional. Key constitutional concerns include 8th Amendment, prohibits cruel and unusual punishment. Sending citizens to notoriously harsh foreign prisons could violate this. The 5th Amendment guarantees due process under the law, which would be undermined by removing citizens from U.S. legal protections. And the 14th Amendment ensures equal protection under the law, which could be challenged by such policy. Now, just that alone, right, is a cause for it to be questioned. If there is anything up to question like that, you would think you would pull back the reins. Hold on, let me see if I can get this right. or make some changes, not just say, hey, this is what I want to do and this is what I'm going to do.
Right. What the?
Wow.
What the?
WTF.
WTF.
Yeah.
What the?
Jeez.
Yeah. All right. I mean, this isn't a distraction. This is a notion that is being floated around.
Yeah. Wow, Yeah. We need to be careful, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, look, I'm with and I'm clearly, right? I'm clearly now. I say I'm nonpartisan, right? Mm-hmm. I'm open to what the entire community, what the nation is talking to. We know that we're not all monoliths. Mm-hmm. We don't agree to everything, right? Mm-hmm. And so to push the needle forward, right, we have to, at the very least, be open to conversation and differences. Yeah. So I get all of that. But someone can literally, whether you black, green, or indifferent, can look up in the sky and say the sky isn't orange. Mm-hmm. Whether you're a Republican or Democrat, we can look up in the sky and agree that the sky is blue.
Right.
Right? Wrong is wrong, right is right.
Right.
And crazy is crazy.
Yeah. Alternative facts.
Alternative. It's Kofifi. Somebody said that. I ain't make that up. Kofifi. Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. Well, there's more.
Oh gosh.
Right? There's more. So more WTFs. All right. Well, let's start here.
Okay.
Child labor. When did you get your first W-2 job?
Wow. You know the crazy thing? I remember getting my working papers.
Yeah.
Right? And my working papers was working for, drumroll please, HBO, passing out flyers in people's doors.
Wow.
Yeah, right? Home box office. That's what it was called back then. Right? And so it was interesting to start my first job walking door to door, and that was my first ever W-2. I remember my mom having to help me do that. I think I was like 15.
15.
Yeah, 15. Yeah. Well,
so I'm someone who's always enjoyed having cash money in my pocket.
Yeah.
So I got my working papers the day I turned 14 years old. I went into the guidance counselor's office, Henderson High School, Westchester, Pennsylvania.
Yeah.
And I got my working papers, and that weekend I got a job at the Burger King.
Oh.
Yeah, Burger King. I was the youngest person to work the drive-thru. You're supposed to be older to work the drive-thru, but at 14 I was working the drive-thru.
That is fun. Do you remember the first day?
I do remember the first day.
What happened your first day?
I mean, all the good things happen. You get your uniform, you get to meet the people.
It was all clean and crispy.
I had a great boss, right? I had a great boss. Yeah. My first boss, it was a good experience.
Yeah.
Shout out to Roxanne. She was my first boss at
Okay,
Burger King, right?
okay.
Remember her name?
Yeah.
Remember her name.
That's funny.
So I asked that question,
Okay.
right? Because as this country is aggressively deporting a community, an immigrant community that is doing the work that others do not want to do, someone's going to have to do that work.
Yeah.
And now they are loosening the labor laws to allow children.
Please don't say that.
Loosening the labor laws to allow children to work longer and more hours to compensate for the fact that we are missing immigrant labor in this country.
Wow.
I remember at 14 years old, I was only allowed to work a certain amount of hours a day and a week,
right.
certain hours of the day.
That's right.
And I couldn't go beyond that. The Burger King would get in trouble.
Yeah.
But if you eliminate those laws,
right.
we go back to the 1920s.
Yeah.
You know, when you have children in factories creating products as 14-year-olds and then not getting an education. Is this what we're reverting back to? Because we want to deport black and brown people, so we're going to allow for child labor?
Wow, that's scary. Wow. That's really scary because I think we have already become accustomed to certain things, certain ways of living, especially here in the West, right? And so I will say, however, in certain countries, you do have young labor.
Yeah.
That they grow up working. they might not see as bad, but we look over there and we're like, what are you guys
Right.
doing?
Right.
And so if we start that here, we actually become the hypocrites.
Yeah.
Believe it or not.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We have so much to say about China,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
And the
China.
labor laws in China.
Yeah, China.
And you have these billionaire corporations that are sending our jobs there to produce products so they can sell Birkin bags,
Oh God.
right, for $30,000 that cost like $80 to create.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, China been. If you have looked at any of your social platforms, China has been coming at the West neck. I mean, they're giving away all the secrets. Yeah.
They are.
Yeah.
I'm loving to see the social media that's happening. I saw a reel just the other day of a young man in China who was giving up the secrets.
Giving up all of the secrets. Yes, right.
So we're talking about the kids.
Right.
So if we're talking about the kids, let's talk about the Department of Education.
Oh, goodness gracious.
So we already know that Linda McMahon,
Right.
claim to fame, Linda McMahon,
Wrestling.
Wrestling,
That's
WrestleMania.
right. WrestleMania.
The
Hulkster is running wild.
Defunding the Department of Education. The elimination of the Department of Education.
Unbelievable.
The Department of Education is what makes America America. You know, one of the first and only countries that said it is mandatory for us to supply a public education to our children.
Wow.
And now we're defunding our Department of Education. Linda McMahon.
Time to pull up some
Well,
stuff.
what did she say? She didn't understand what the AI stood for. She thought it was
What?
something else.
Are you
You
serious?
gotta look that one up. Report back on that.
Oh my goodness.
So the funding of the Department of Education obviously is problematic as a country that relies on having an educated population, ones that don't make the errors that we have been making as of recently. You need to have an educated population. So the defunding of the Department of Education is problematic. That's another what the is going on, you know?
Yeah.
What are they doing?
So let's talk a little bit about it. So for those who are kind of asking the question, like, what's the big deal?
Right.
I'm gonna explain it to you. So the funding or abolishing, again, this is a perplexity. Anybody can do this, and it's kind of like Google, all right? So the funding or abolishing the Department of Education would have major consequences for students, schools, and families. Loss of funding for vulnerable students, programs like Title I, which supports schools with high concentrations of low-income students, and IDEA, which funds special education, would likely see funding cuts or converted to block grants for states. These are less oversight and potentially fewer resources for most vulnerable students. That's one. Weaken civil rights protections. The Office of Civil Rights, which enforces protections against discrimination based on race, gender, disability, and more, could be moved to another agency like the Department of Justice, making it harder for families to address civil rights violations and weakening enforcements. Now, I got one more to read, but I want you guys to see again what the potential could be and what the long game is. All right, not just on the surface, right? Disruption. Here's another one. Disruption of student aid. Federal student loans, Pell Grants, and other aid programs might be transferred to other agencies, such as the Treasury, causing administrative chaos and confusion for millions of borrowers and potentially reducing protection and support for students. This is big. I want you to listen to this one. State by state inequity, right? States would have more control but less federal oversight.
Right.
I'm gonna pause right there. States, it may, don't get distracted.
Right. Don't get distracted.
It might sound good, right? But the oversight of the government, right? So the problem I think that we're going to face later on is us feeling excited that, okay, let's just throw it in the state, saying in the state, and we feel like we got control.
Right.
However, the government potentially can just run wild.
Right.
And that's the problem.
What the? What the? Are they
this thing is
doing?
real.
All right, we're going to stay on the young folks.
Just stay on the young folks,
Stay on
man.
the young folks and the defunding of colleges. in this moment. Trump administration, we already know, does not like DEI policies.
Yeah.
Diversity, equity, and inclusion.
It's not a bad word.
It is not.
They are a bad word.
Anti-diversity, anti-equity,
that's right.
Anti-inclusion. And because they are anti those things, they have been defunding colleges.
Unbelievable.
That refuse to eliminate their DEI programs within the universities and colleges.
Right.
So I'm excited to say that Rutgers in New Jersey, Michigan State.
Shout out to Rutgers.
Right. Shout out to Rutgers. They are coming together with a mutual defense compact, and they're encouraging other presidents from college campuses to stay strong.
That's great.
Right, to stay strong. We were saying, when this defunding of college campuses first started happening, a lot of us in the organizing space were saying someone's got to organize these college presidents because they are getting railroaded and they are allowing for this administration to shut down their campuses based upon them wanting to maintain DEI initiatives on campus.
Wow. That's crazy to me. I just like, come on. Why? That's the question. It's just kind of why.
Yeah.
What's the purpose? Why? Even when us as, the academic or researchers, one of the questions that we always ask ourselves is why.
Yeah.
So we can answer that, right? That's what I constantly run through my head is why? What is the purpose?
I can't answer that. I can't answer that.
See, and that's what I mean, is that's where we get stuck. So if we can't answer that, then we know it's a problem there. So we need to strategize around. I'm gonna say strategize all the time because that's what we need to do. Stop playing checkers, y'all. Time to play chess.
Time to play chess.
Y'all kings and queens, remember? Kings and queens, we gotta come together. We jump on this board.
We're gonna come back together after this break. We'll be right back. You're watching Slingshot the Podcast. This is more than just a podcast. This is a movement to inspire and motivate and mobilize. This is for those whose voices have been unheard, misunderstood, undervalued, and underserved. We're going to talk about sports, culture, entertainment, and we're going to use this to build power in our communities.
And we're back.
We're back.
Yeah.
Well, as we are coming to a close, this episode went
way too fast.
Way too fast. Because there's a lot of WTF moments happening.
WTF?
What the? What are they doing? Yeah, what are they doing?
Sure. Yeah.
So it's going to take a long time
to
overcome what has happened in the last less than 100 days.
That's when it's about 50 to 40 days or something. Jeez,
already. What day of the week is it? I don't even know.
That fast.
So you asked that question and I couldn't answer it for you earlier. And the question was, what do we do about this?
What do we do?
How do we protect our rights and freedoms? How do we stop having these WTF moments?
Right.
How do we wake up in the morning and not want to check our social media feed immediately to find out what we missed while we were sleeping? What WTF moment happened at 3 a.m. while I was trying to get some rest?
Wow.
So how do we protect our rights and freedoms?
I have no clue. I have no answer at this point, aside from us sitting, watching what's going on, using that as your research, and start putting some things down and say, oh, we need to have an aha moment. We need a wake up moment, and this should have been a wake up moment for the world, right? For the nation. We need to really get together and start thinking, and stop being so combative with each other. It's hard that our side, like it's already two sides, right? But we have people on our side butting heads with each other. We're running in place.
Yeah. Well, what can we do?
Yeah.
So
I like to know.
Number one, we have to stay aware about what's happening. All the distractions that they're putting out there is serving its purpose, which is to keep us tuned out, to make us turn our TVs off, to shut down our feeds, and we have to get around that. We have to stay informed, even when it hurts.
That's right.
We must stay informed, even when it hurts, so that we know what is going on to protect our rights and our freedoms and our families.
That's right.
So the first thing we can do, and is always a best first thing to do, is to make sure you let your elected officials know you're paying attention.
That's simple.
So they say a groundswell of public opinion is when 3 people show up to an elected official's office on the same day talking about the same issue.
Wow.
So if you can get yourself and 2 of your cousins to head down to an elected official's office, they're not used to getting visits, by the way, right? If they are getting visits because somebody needs help getting a passport, or someone needs their Social Security card, or there's a pothole that needs filled.
Yeah.
So what they're usually not getting are people coming to their offices and saying, I need you to do this because I'm paying attention to this.
She just gave y'all the cheat codes, guys.
That's the cheat code. You go into these local offices of our elected officials, be it local government, be it state government, be it federal government.
Right.
We have access to all of those offices. Take your ID if you're trying to go to a federal office, because they're going to want to see your ID before you get in there. And to go in there, 3 people deep, talk about the same issue on the same day, and they have to respond to it.
Wow.
They have to respond.
Yeah.
So, other things we can do to protect our rights and our freedoms.
That was good. Okay.
Well, we can make sure that we are getting registered to vote, voting in every single election, making our voices heard, encouraging others in our life to also get registered to vote, also getting out and casting a ballot. It's not easy to vote in the Commonwealth. It's not easy. There are other states that have found ways to make the ballot more accessible. You know, I've said it over and over again. I was living in North Carolina for some time. Yeah. They had same-day voter registration. So that if you woke up one day and, you had been holding out and saying to yourself, I'm not interested in getting registered to vote, I'm not going to be voting. But then one day, like 4 days before the election, you wake up and you say to yourself, actually, you know what, I do want to vote. Well, you won't have that ability to do that in Pennsylvania because there's a cutoff period. 15 days ahead of the election is when you can no longer get yourself registered to vote. But in places like North Carolina and Georgia and others, you can actually still get registered to vote and vote on the same day you get registered to vote.
That's wild.
Right? Why don't we have that in Pennsylvania?
Yeah.
True early voting, so that on a Tuesday in November, when you're working 2 and 3 jobs and you can't make it to the polls between 7 a.m. and 8 p.m. because your first job started at 7 a.m., right? And then your second job started at 4 p.m., and doesn't end until 10 p.m., when do you have time to go vote?
That part.
When do you have time to go vote? So true early voting on machines in a polling location would allow people to vote when it's convenient for them and their busy lives. So that if a Tuesday is a bad day because you work 2 jobs on Tuesdays, you can go vote on Monday or Saturday. If we made voting more accessible, more people would do it.
That's right.
So we have opportunities there. So how do we protect our rights and our freedoms? We have to talk about it. We can't be shy. We can't be coy. We can't be ashamed.
Yeah.
We've got to talk to our family and friends and make our voices heard.
Yes. Allow safe spaces, guys. Allow safe spaces. That's it. Yeah, for sure. Let people talk about their issues and challenges as it relates to the policies and issues that affects them. It affects them. It don't have to affect you. It affects them. Yeah. Just be open to it. That will encourage them to vote. Simple as that. Just education. Educate them. That's all.
Right. Civic education is hard to come by when you're defunding the Department of Education.
Boom. That part. Yeah.
What the
WTF?
What the are they doing? What are they doing? All right, well, we want to thank you all for joining us. This went by so fast.
Really fast. I like this.
Really fast. And I hope that we're all learning something.
Yeah.
I hope that this is sparking conversation in your households. I hope that you are talking to that uncle that you disagree with.
Yeah.
That you just saw probably on Easter and you argued. Now you got something more to go back and talk about.
Yeah.
And
love each other.
But
the thing is, listen. Like, we only got about a minute left. Listen, just because y'all don't agree don't mean y'all can't love each other later. I've been hearing people getting divorces because somebody voted this. It's like, what are you guys doing? I don't get.
Well, that's a whole nother episode.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
because I know I couldn't be with somebody that
fundamentally
disagree on values.
I got you. But yeah, I got you. Yeah, that's
Yeah.
Just love each other, man.
But love each other,
Yeah,
right? A
love.
radical love.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, radical love.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you all for being with us today. We've got a lot more in store
That's right.
in upcoming episodes. We're going to be joined by some former athletes.
Man.
We'll be joined by some folks in the community who are doing great, some local DJs.
That's right.
And so we look forward to having you in upcoming episodes.
Yeah.
And stay tuned.
Stay tuned, y'all. And tell us, look, in the comments, tell us your WTF moment. We will know what the give us your moment that, is a WTF to you.
Right.
Yeah. No doubt.
There's so many.
No doubt.
All right. Thank you for being with us.
Yeah.
Take
Peace,
care.
y'all.
Thank you for watching today's episode. I hope that we are all going to take this conversation back to our communities and engage. And please, don't get distracted by all the WTF moments that are happening in this time. We must stay focused. We must stay strong. We must stay hydrated. So let's get back out there. Let's educate all the folks in our lives that need the truth. And let's make sure we're fighting for our rights and our freedoms. Have a good day. I'm Kadida Kenner, and you're watching Slingshot the Podcast, the misunderstood voice, the culture's power.